Hey guys, Hella Bella here. In this video, I'm going to be interviewing Neil for Merch Informer, and I'm super happy to have him on the channel because he's going to explain all of the tools that Merch Informer has and things that we can learn to basically be more efficient in our business, possibly learn how to scale our designs and our portfolio out a little bit more than we already have. And he's got some new tools that he's going to kind of show us how to work and how to introduce. So yeah, Neil, do you want to just kind of explain to people like what Merch Informer is if they have never heard of it before?
Yeah, so thank you for having me. Merch Informer is pretty much a suite of tools at this point. It's not just one thing. We started it back in 2017, essentially because I got started maybe a year previous to that on Merch by Amazon, and it quickly pretty much consumed my entire day. So my entire day was me sitting at the computer, searching through thousands of Amazon terms, going, okay, like I'm not a graphic artist, but what do people buy? Like, who's on the other side of the computer and what do they actually want to purchase? And that was literally me typing in random keywords, looking at how well they were selling by looking at sales ranks, making these ginormous spreadsheets of like what's selling and what kind of layout is working, and basically trying to figure out if I want to do this full time or make some pretty good money doing it, like what do I have to produce? What can I make that's different? What can I make that people want? And that kind of morphed into Merch Informer. So it's an online software to help pretty much every single part of the process in order to find a design, get a design created, find the keywords for the design, get that design uploaded to multiple platforms. So Merch by Amazon is just one fish in the sea. You have Redbubble, Etsy, Teespring, tons of different marketplaces
Mhm.
online. So we kind of help you from the beginning of the process to the very end. So you don't have to end up like me sitting on the computer for 8 hours a day.
Yeah, I've been there too, and especially when you first get started, it's a little overwhelming to say, what do I create? I mean, you can literally make anything within the bounds of things that aren't trademarked.
Well, when I first got started, I had a few ideas like, oh, I think people would like this, but then I would be like, okay, what can I search for? I'd look on my desk and I'd see like a pocket knife, and I'd be like, knife T-shirt, and then I would go through the hundreds of results and figure out, okay,
Mhm.
are people buying knife T-shirts? Oh, wait a minute, like people are buying chef T-shirts, okay, and then you'd Google that or you'd search that on Amazon. You'd go through hundreds of results and you'd make
Oh
these
gosh.
spreadsheets. And
Yeah,
yeah,
that's one thing that I realized, like, just because there's 100 shirts doesn't mean anybody bought any of them.
Yep. Well, exactly, because with Merch by Amazon, since all of the products are Prime eligible, it's not like you're really competing against people who are printing these and shipping them out themselves, because Prime listings get knocked up in the search results. So if you have a Prime listing, if you're using Merch by Amazon, you're automatically going to rank better in the results
Mhm.
than someone else that is not in the program.
Right, like there's a lot of third parties I see now that, once I get a design that's selling pretty well, they will go in and make their own version of it and ship it to the customer themselves, but also sell it on Amazon. So I'm
And
noticing a lot.
that takes way longer too. Like in today's age, no one has any patience. No one wants to wait a week for something to show up. They want it now.
Yeah, I don't. If something takes a week to get to my house, I'm like, why did I even buy this? I don't even want this anymore.
Absolutely. So I don't know. There's a lot involved with Merch by Amazon. I know a lot of people make it seem really simplistic, and it is. At the core, it's super easy, but you kind of have to put together, a few different pieces: design, research, and then actually keywording your uploads.
Yeah, I just made a sale. My computer's like,
I just mentioned too.
yeah. So, I guess in terms of your tool, did you start out with it just being like a search tool and then it morphed into the uploader, or how
Yeah,
did
so
you
when
get
we
started?
first started, it was literally pretty much just a search in order to bring back the results that were selling. Because I didn't want to go through 100 results that no one had ever purchased before. I wanted
Mhm.
to look at what's selling so I can say, why is this selling? Is it because of the design? Is it because it's massive? Or maybe it's not selling because of the tiny little design. So it started as literally like three tools, like a favorites module so I could download the results and look at them later, a module to look at brand names, and a module to look at actual selling designs. And now
Mhm.
it's way bigger.
Yeah.
So
Did you think you would have as many users as you have now? Like when you started, did you have any like conception of how big it would become?
not really. I mean, we kind of built it for us. I mean, in the very beginning, I just didn't want to spend as long in front of the computer, because what happened was I'm not a designer. I can barely draw. But what happened is I was doing private label. So I was,
Oh,
ordering
okay.
from China, selling on FBA. I was sick and tired of dealing with suppliers. I was up in the middle of the night talking to my suppliers overseas. And I'm just complaining to everyone I knew at this point. And someone linked me an article of Merch by Amazon and how you didn't have to hold any inventory and you didn't have to do any customer service or anything. So I was like, wait a minute, let me try this out. So I quickly dragged a few things together, and that's how I made a few sales right off the bat. I was like, wait a minute, this actually works. Maybe I should
Yeah.
keep on doing it.
Well, I think that's just kind of cool that it was eventually it was turned into something bigger, but like you built it for yourself. I think that's like the best products that come out are things that people made to solve their own problems. Like if you have an issue, there's probably a chance that like other people could benefit from this. At least from what I can tell, a lot of the things that I would use on the tool are things that like they just save you time. And like you said, your time is like so important when you're spending all day in front of a computer. Like, are you really making passive income at that point? Like, no, you're not passive.
I see it also on the other side where so I think you should spend the majority of your time doing your research and, a small portion of your time creating the designs. But I know some people who will spend 6 hours creating one design and then it never sells.
Oh,
and
God.
You're like, why? Why would you do figure out what sells and then provide the market that's already sitting there, provide them with the product that they actually want.
Yeah, reverse engineer basically what is already selling and then go from there. I know a lot of people also told me like they spend all these times on the designs that they made, like 6 hours on a design, and then they upload it and someone copies it. So I mean, it's like if you're gonna do that, you're gonna get copied like immediately. So it's really, how do you feel about like the copycat issue? Do you like scan your stuff and issue takedown notices, or do you just kind of ignore it?
Yeah, so it's definitely an issue, but it's not as big of an issue as I think people make it out to be. So, I mean, I have shirts with almost 400 reviews on them. Those get copied 1,000 times, but you have two things available that no one else does. One, you were first. So that means that you need to put up designs that are unique.
Yeah.
So you have first mover advantage. You can play around with the price. I know a lot of copycats will undercut you, but the thing that no one seems to talk about is that if you have a shirt up and it's getting copycatted a bunch of times, more than likely you're the one ranking in search results and they're not, because you have the sales volume. Because you're selling 1, 2, maybe you're selling 15 a day, and they put up a fresh listing that no one's ever seen, and it's not ranking, and it's not selling. So yes, while there is a copycat up on Amazon, it's probably not ranked right next to yours, because a lot of people will look for their exact phrase or their exact shirt and they'll be like, oh my gosh, everything looks the same. But as a customer, you're probably going and you're probably typing in unicorn shirt, not the exact unicorn phrase you put on the shirt, but you'll probably just Google something, or search on Amazon for something really generic as a customer, and that's what you want to end up ranking.
Okay, yeah, that you just blew my mind right there. That because I guess I didn't really consider it that way from the customer's point of view. Like they're not looking for their our shirt; they're just looking for the shirt. So you don't have to overthink it. I have one like that now. It's a selling I guess it's got 52 reviews, and so it's got a bunch of copycats, but when you type in the phrase, it pops up first, and it has Amazon's choice thing on there. Yep. So I'm like, even though there are copycats, and the copycats are making sales, but they're not making the sales that I'm making. So
but at the end of the day too, it's, would you rather create 50 more designs and different niches and work on your business, or would you rather play whack-a-mole every single day and get nowhere because that's all you'd be doing all day long? So I think there's a lot to be said about that. Now, I'm not saying don't report copycats. If you feel like that's the best choice for your business, go ahead and do it. I just like focusing on what I have the most control over, and that's building designs, doing the research, and getting out ahead of other people.
Right, focus on the positive things and focus on the things that you can scale and change. One thing that I realized about Merch Informer is if you are doing a research for a particular term or something, and you hit on something and there's not that many up, it's more advantageous to make 20 designs and get all of your designs filling that search result before anyone else can get over there. Like you said, the first mover advantage is I feel like that's what's been helping my account grow, because I was doing only a couple $100 a month, and now I'm doing $5,000 to $7,000 a month just from like, I guess, figuring out how the game works. You have to learn how to play the game. You can't, can't just do what you want to do. I know a lot of people do that, and there's a reason why people are doing it a certain way, because it works.
And those, not to like bag on those people, but I've seen it for years where, okay, you're an artist or you want to do merch by Amazon, so you sit down, you don't do any research, you don't optimize your listings. You're like, you know what I would really like? I would really like XYZ. And you're probably the only person that wants that. So they haven't validated anything. They spend a bunch of time on it, and then they don't make any sales. And it's like, this is why there isn't a built-in market for these type of designs. Maybe, your niece wants one, and that's a customer of one, right? You want a customer base of thousands or hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, where you can get shirts that are selling year round to actually, come into your bank account. So during the slow months, we're going to come up in a slow month here in a few days. You want to still be bringing in income. So you want to focus on evergreen designs that sell maybe one a week, 2 weeks, something like that.
Do you have I know you told someone on a previous video that you have like access to multiple accounts and you do like profit sharing. Like, can you kind of explain that? Because I've had a lot of people say like, oh, I'm from another country and I want to merch by Amazon accounts and I can't get one, and would you split it with me and stuff? And there's other people who are like, I have some friends who are artists, but they're not savvy enough to build up a merch by Amazon business, but they love to create art. So is there a way to kind of smash two things together for people who aren't necessarily...
Yeah, so to hit on two of those points, one, if you are, anywhere other than the US, you can still have a merch by Amazon account. There's really, right now, I think it's taking maybe a week or two to get accepted, which is way shorter than when they first implemented that wait time. It was like a year, 18 months, something ridiculous.
Gosh, yeah, that's crazy.
It's like a week or two now. So, and then two, if you have like an artist friend or something, have them, first look at the artwork and then compare it to what's actually selling and make sure, this isn't going to be a waste of time. There's some demand for that type of art because a specific style does really well on merch. But after that, you can have them sign up for a merch account, and then you can help them do all the research. You can help them with the keywords and everything and say, hey, taking your style, why don't you create something that, functions like this, or with this keyword, or with this phrase, and you can kind of partner up with them on that. Now, yes, they would have the account under their name, but you can make your own agreements outside of merch by Amazon.
I think that's a cool way to build out and have some other little streams coming in, especially like I have a lot of friends who are, I live in a college town, and they have like these portfolios of like digital art that they've never done anything with. And I'm like, how do you spend all this time creating and then not put your stuff out into the world? Like there's a different brain of the artist and the business person. So, if you can smash those two together, I thought that'd be a kind of a cool concept. I really liked when you started talking about that. I can't remember who interviewed you, but I was watching it and I was like, that's a really good point to touch on. Like, there's other ways that you can use merch by Amazon besides your own account without violating the terms of service.
Right. And I mean, that's just one way, right? Like I mentioned, I'm not an artist, so I hire people that are, and I tell them what I want. And I pay for that up front because, that's how the world works. But, it ends up creating like a 2, 3, up 10 times, ROI because I know what works. Now, would I suggest going out and spending all your money right away hiring someone? No, because you have no idea what's actually going to sell. But once you start, create a few designs yourself and prove the concept to yourself, okay, this type of design works in this type of niche, then you can start actually outsourcing this, and your job basically just becomes, hey, like, let's do some research, let's figure out what's selling, how can I make this different?
Right. So research is probably the most important thing, and I don't think you figure that out until later on in your merch by Amazon career. I guess for a lot of people have been asking me, how do I get out of the lower tiers? And there's so many answers to that question. Like, do you have anything that you tell people, like a stock answer when they ask you, like, I'm in tier 10, I'm in tier 25?
Yeah, so a few things. I mean, you have a few options. If you're in tier 10 and you really want to do this business and you're actually going to stick with it, the easiest way is just to buy your shirts. Like, set it at $13, buy 10 shirts, and then you can, now I'm not a CPA, go talk to a CPA, but
write it off.
Give them away to a charity, right? Like, that's a tax deduction. Another thing you can do, and a lot of people just focus on the organic traffic part of things. but you can advertise your shirts, right? Like, I know not everyone has access to AMS, but you can go into Facebook groups. You can make a deal with admins in Facebook groups. You can use Pinterest. You can use Instagram. I don't know. There's like so many different avenues where if you do just a little bit of work, you can easily get out of that tier 10. I wouldn't just sit back and go, okay,
Wait,
I'm
yeah,
just
6
going to wait
months.
6 months. During that 6 months, you could either be advertising that, or you could be building out other accounts on Etsy and Redbubble and Teespring and Spreadshirt. Like, the list goes on and on. So I think a lot of it comes down to not being lazy. Like, there's always something that you can do,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. I know I have a lot of people who they just highlight the negative. Like they'll comment on my videos. They'll say like the one negative thing that I said. No, I'm like, I talked for 25 minutes and you only picked out the negative thing. Like,
And the thing is, everyone started out where they are. Like, we all started out at tier 10. Okay, maybe not everyone. At the very beginning, there were no tiers. That was a long time ago. But everyone else, right, started out at tier 10, and we all have these limits imposed on our account, and we work with them instead of just sitting back and complaining about them.
right, right. So can you, one question I had for you is, can you touch on like the importance of your title, your keywords, and how important it is to make sure that you make the most of that space, and how, I guess, that's the way that customers are finding your design. So like
Right.
you have some keyword tools on Merch Informer that help you build out titles.
Yeah, so the title itself is going to be the most important part of the entire piece of the puzzle, because that is what, that's what's going to show up first. That's what Amazon gives the most kind of juice to, if you will. So essentially what you want to do with your title, at least what I found works really well for me, is put in the phrase or, the half phrase, but also put in keywords that are relevant. So you want to be able to say it out loud to yourself without going like, what did I just say? It has to make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Amazon has changed where they actually append like t-shirt or hoodie onto the very end. So you don't have to put any of that in your title,
Mm-hmm.
but either the phrase or the partial phrase along with, keyword or two, it needs to be kind of readable. The second most important thing is going to be your bullet points. So essentially what I'll do is I will use the bullet points as a way to sell the customer on the shirt using keywords. So, I mean, just to give a quick example, if it was I don't know, a ballerina shirt, right? You would use that first bullet point, at least what I would do, to tell them why they need a ballerina shirt. So you'd be like, hey, this, ballerina shirt for girls 5 through 10 makes an excellent gift for, I don't know if there's a ballerina holiday. You know what I mean? Like you sell them on that, but you put in keywords there.
Yeah.
And then
dance studio gift, whatever, like
stuff like that. But again, it should be readable, so it's a good customer experience. Because a lot of the times I'll see bullet points that are just keyword, comma, keyword, comma, keyword, comma.
Oh gosh, yeah.
It doesn't read well. You might get customers that are clicking back. They land on it. They like, oh, I want to know more about this product. They read it and they go, this is kind of spammy. I don't really know about this. They'll click back. That hurts your listing.
Right. Yeah. And it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't look good either.
Yeah, and it doesn't look good. So I mean, title and bullet points, description really has no effect on your ranking. So what I'll usually do is just copy a bullet point and paste it in the description. The description will show up on Google as the meta description right under the title of your shirt. So I always recommend filling that out, but it's not like you should spend a ton of time working on it, because it's not going to help.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I noticed a lot of like things that get sold on Amazon are just super obscure. Like I know when merch first started, like you see like nurse shirt, which you can't make a nurse shirt anymore because there's too many. You have to be like, I'm the best mom and oncology nurse in Alabama that anyone's ever seen.
Right. But that's a good point though too, is if you go really niche like that, niching down to something specific, yeah, you're not going to sell $10,000 a month of that shirt. But if you sell 1 or 2 a month and you have 10,000 of those shirts, well, now you're making a ton of money on, really obscure stuff, because those obscure things do have an audience. They're just not as big as everything else, but they're so much easier to rank because no one else is doing that.
Yeah, that became a big part of my strategy, which is kind of silly when you think about it. But it's like, I don't know, like you said, you have to make what the customer wants, not what you want. So in my head, sometimes I'll be designing and I'm like, my God, who is going to buy this? This is awful. and then you upload and it's like sale.
There is a shirt that I created as a joke. I put it as a Facebook post, right? And I was like, oh, it'd be hilarious if it said this.
Yeah.
And I put it up and I was like, oh, well, I have the design. I might as well just throw it on merch. I put it on merch for like $14.99. It sells every single day. And it's got like 50 reviews on it. And I'm like, well, that was the best 10 seconds decision of my life. Like, it just brings in constant income.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't sit back too much and worry about like, oh, are people going to buy this? Are people going to like this? No, there'll probably be a ton of people that hate it, right? Like, I think the design is stupid. But other people seem to like it as a gag gift, so they buy it.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff on Amazon that's just made for a quick joke. Like, people will spend $15 or $20 to make their friends laugh.
I think that's where a lot of the sales come from. Like, a lot of them are probably just impulse purchases because it's under $20, so it's not like the end of the world. And, you know, for a quick laugh, that's probably worth it.
Yeah, definitely. Can you touch a little bit on what was I going to ask you? I had something planned. I got it in my notes section. Oh, okay, so this is not to highlight negative things, but I've had some people ask me, like, isn't Merch Informer like cheating, or how do you have all this information? This is why all the people who make original designs are now suffering because people are stealing whatever. You know, it's like they're not stealing anything. You didn't create it out of your brain. You just saw it somewhere else, and then you made a shirt, and now you're mad that other people are making shirts. So can you kind of like, I guess, touch on that? Because in my head, I'm like, if there's a tool that makes me better at my business, why would I not use it?
Well, see, what I don't understand. So remember when we touched on very briefly, you know, business-minded people and artists? I think that's where the problem is, right? I mean, at the end of the day, business isn't conducted in a bubble. You're not in like some special little bubble where no one looks at what's going on around them. So, you know, when it comes to cars, pretty much all cars have 4 wheels and a paint job, right? Like, it's the stuff that goes into the car that's going to make the difference. Same with design. So, yeah, Amazon is a publicly facing search engine. That's what it is, right? It's a search engine, number one, and number two, it's kind of like an e-commerce store. But all of that information is already out there. So even if people aren't using Merch Informer, they can still go on Amazon and see designs for sale. What Merch Informer does is it takes that entire process and it condenses it all down, gives you tools to find out, you know, hey, what should you be selling? It gives you tools to make sure that, hey, this is not trademarked. Like, you aren't infringing on someone else's intellectual property. So it really just kind of takes everything, boils it down to the essentials, so you don't have to spend all your time, you know, doing it manually. So even if people are doing it manually, it's still a publicly facing search engine. Like, we're not all doing this in, you know, our own little bubbles. It's all kind of combined. So I see where people are coming from. But at the end of the day, it is a business, and when you run a business, you're going to have competition. So it's your job to figure out how to be better than them.
And guess what, guys? You like, you don't get extra points for doing it the hard way.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah. When I discovered Merch Informer, I was like, my goodness, I've really been doing this the hard way. Like, I've been doing things that could have, like, a lot of times in your business, you have to spend a little bit of money to save a lot of time, because your time becomes worth, more, worth more to you. And you don't have as much time to sit there and go through every little thing and every search result and analyze it by hand. Like, if you have an algorithm that works, why would you not use it? So, but I mean, let's, I guess, kind of get into some of the tools that you can use, because I mean, just from starting with it, I really like, I think it's like Trend Hunter tool. And I know that, like, what is the one that shows you the, like, upcoming bestsellers, like a shirt that has just dropped in rank?
Oh, the movers and shakers module.
Yeah, that was when I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, we're about to make some sales, baby.
Perfect. All right, hey, let me share my screen and we'll just go over a few things.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll just add you to the stream.
All right, cool. So here is the inside of Merch Informer. You're going to notice a bunch of stuff up here. We'll talk about this later. But all the tools themselves are going to be over, I don't know, one of these ways on the left side of the screen. So what she's talking about is down here, the Trend Hunter. So let's just go over this real quick and I'll show you how it works. So The Trend Hunter down here, okay, has two parts. If you can see this, it says movers and shakers and trend tracker. Now, these are two different ways where you can find shirts that either are going to take off or kind of have taken off. So the first one, movers and shakers, it's got a few things up top. Okay, so you can change daily, weekly, or monthly in the category in the marketplace. What this is going to show you and why this is so important is it's going to show you shirts that have they've dove in sales rank. So if a sales rank on Amazon is low, it means that the sales are incredibly high. Okay, so a sales rank of 1 in clothing, just to explain this real quick, would be the number 1 bestseller of all that category on Amazon. Okay, so the sales rank of, say, 10,000 would be the 10,000th best-selling shirt in the clothing category. Okay, so what this is going to show you is shirts that, maybe are way up here. They're not selling too great, and all of a sudden they get a ton of purchases, which drives their sales rank down. So what I usually do is I'll come in here and I'll change these up a little bit. I'll go monthly. So over the last month, show me the shirts that have dropped the most in sales rank. So over the last month, show me the shirts that have started selling the most. Okay, so we'll click search here. You'll see there's 300 results. It'll give you some price data. Now, price data is really, really important because I don't want to go into a niche where everything is priced at, say, $14 and price my shirt at $35. Okay, I'd never make a sale, and I would pretty much just be wasting my time. So I can see, all right, the average price is actually lower than the $19.99. This is $18.55 here. Gives you an average sales rank here, 236,000. So so these shirts here are selling about once or twice a week. Okay, it's really, really good. So we'll scroll down, and you'll see these graphs I'm talking about. It'll give you two pieces of information. It'll show you the sales rank on a shirt. So remember, the lower the sales rank, when it drops like this, the more sales it's getting. But it's also going to show you the price on each one of these shirts. So for example, right here, you'll see the price of this shirt was $15.95. You'll notice that they dropped the price to $14.95. So that's something to keep in mind when you're looking is, hey, are there pricing strategies helping them sell more shirts?
Right.
So yeah, if you're dropping the price by $1, you're making a little bit less royalty. But if you're selling 10 times as many shirts, it becomes worth it, right?
Right. Yeah, you see the big dip in there in the sales rank went improved.
Right. So one more thing to keep in mind when you're looking through this is intellectual property, right? So we can't make Coca-Cola shirts. This is from a TV show, okay? So let's just keep scrolling down here. You can't do Harry Potter shirts, but stuff like this, right?
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, and yes, it's my birthday. Great design, and you'll notice here what they did is it wasn't selling very well. It had a BSR, or a sales rank, of 4.4 million, right? So maybe was selling once a month, and all of a sudden it sold at least once. So every dip you see is at least one sale, probably more. And you'll see what they did is they were like, okay, guys, Christmas is coming up. So on November 27th, it was $16.98, and then they dropped it on December 5th down to $14.99. You can see that's when they started making more sales, dropping that sales rank. So you can come in here and go, all right, Christmas is coming up. Maybe I can create some Christmas shirts, right? We see this tractor shirt. You're like, all right, it wasn't selling very well, but now it's selling pretty decently, maybe once a week or so. Maybe I should create some tractor shirts, okay? So you're coming down here. I mean, there's just so many different types of ideas. Just a girl who loves pandas. It doesn't take a genius to create something like this. I'm not saying create that one, but hey, just a girl who loves, raccoons. You could use the same sort of style because raccoons are black and white. So yeah, stuff like that. And you'll notice this one has continually started to drop and make even more and more sales. So something to keep in mind. Now, the other one, and this one is what I really like, is this trend tracker. It's going to bring you to a screen that looks like this. This is how you're going to find evergreen shirts that sell today. They're going to sell tomorrow. They've sold 3 months ago. You want stuff like that in your account so that during the slow months, you still have consistent income coming in every single month. So what I like to do is I'll pick just like a sales rank, maybe 300 to 500,000 over the last 3 months, Merch by Amazon shirts. So that's going to show me in this general range of something that's selling maybe once every week or so, maybe once every 2 weeks or so. Couple sales a month, right? We'll hit search. No records for that. So it means that in 3 months, there's nothing that's hung in there. That's probably because of Q4. So we can come over here and change this a little bit. Maybe we'll do 1 month, do a search here. All right. So over the last month, these are the shirts that have stayed in the 200,000 to 300,000 BSR. So they've continually sold pretty much every week. And we can come down here and look at this. So no, you can't do SpongeBob, but right here, vintage 1980 quarantine edition, right? So it says 40 years of being awesome. Super easy shirt. And this shirt is selling about, 9 sales a month, give or take, with a BSR of 207,000. So you can come in here and see they didn't change their price at all. It's high. They're making a good royalty. Mom birthday crew, right? So like you don't have to be a rocket scientist to come up with a super simplistic design like this. This one not selling as well. Okay, it's got a higher sales rank, but averaged out, it's doing pretty well. We got can't do this one, can't do this one. Remember, intellectual property, like you don't own rights to the Mandalorian. Who is this? Sonic. Right. Sonic, you can't do Sonic shirts, like you don't own rights to that. But everyone loves a ginger with the gingerbread cookie man, right? So like simple stuff like that, doing incredibly well. Right now it's doing really well, 137,000. So this is a way where you can come in here, you have no idea what type of designs to do. Here's a design right here. They combined hair color, redheads, spin-off ginger and gingerbread cookie. So Christmas, right? So they just combine two niches and you can go, all right, what other funny types of redhead jokes, ginger jokes can I put on a shirt and mash that with a holiday, match that with a get together? There's so many different types of things that you could do in here. Now,
yeah, again, I know the 1980 quarantine, you could just make every year birthday and scale that out.
Yeah, you could do that. I mean, you could change quarantine to, some other word. I wouldn't just change one word. I would change the whole look of the design, but understand that, all right, so, the vintage thing with the sunset is really popular. How could you take that and integrate it with, people being stuck at home? Voting was just a huge thing. It's still going on in the media, right? So, like, you can still make sales based on political stuff. It's a great way to mash things up. So figuring out what is actually selling using these tools. So, I mean, you can't do Slayer. Obviously, that actually might be, Slayer. So if you look at the brand, so underneath all of these shirts, it'll give you the title, the merchant. So this is your brand name, the ASIN. You can get some reviews, the price, the BSR. You can show features and description. But you'll notice that on a lot of these shirts, so Slayer, for example, big metal band, this is actually an official brand of them. So Merch by Amazon has a lot of brand partners. So something to keep in mind when you're looking through these tools. One other thing I want to go over before I show you one of the plugins, what I'll usually do when I first sit down at the computer and I'm like, all right, what am I doing today? All right, so I'll head over to the Merch Hunter, which what this tool does to me is one of the biggest things that we have released. It shows you the best-selling Merch by Amazon designs on any given day. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll come over here and I'll say, hey, show me the top 500 best sellers in the US. This BSR range, 1 through 500,000. I'm just going to crank that up to 2 million. So it's going to show me the best-selling shirts today, right? I'll just click search. And all of a sudden, you'll see right now, like, what is hot on Amazon. So Biden-Harris, okay? Huge right now, right? Mandalorian. So, again, you can't create Mandalorian shirts, but that is a super, super hot seller. Same thing, Mandalorian. So you can come down here and kind of get a pulse for what's going on Merch by Amazon. Like, what is flying off the shelves? You'll see these things are making, 1,000 sales a month, right? Can't hear you, I'm gaming. It's got 571 reviews. So just a nutty amount of sales. But what I will usually do, people will come in here and they'll look at this stuff, and I think this is where a lot of people get their gripes about copying, right? People will come in here and they'll go, oh, Biden-Harris 2020. They'll go, oh, it's selling super well. It's got hundreds of reviews. It's got thousands of sales. Look at this. BSR over the last 30 days. So this is averaged out 27. So this is the 27th best-selling piece of clothing on Amazon.
Oh, man.
What people will do is they'll look at this and they'll go, all right, well, I'm just going to create my own circle that says Biden-Harris, and there'll be 10,000 of those by tomorrow morning. Not what you should do. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I usually take a look at this data. This is going to show you, the most used keywords in these designs, some pricing data. But what I'll do is I'll just make these small again. I'll just go to like the 4th page or something. So now the BSRs are going way up. No one's looking at this. Everyone's looking at that front page and they never get any further. But if you want those easier to rank niches, the stuff that's way easier to sell where you're not competing against hundreds of thousands of other sellers, work your way to the end of this list and start looking at this stuff, right? This is my meat smoking t-shirt. Okay, so right there, smoking meats, it's the holiday. You could mash those two things together. This is my Christmas meat shirt. Or make it like an ugly Christmas design with smoking meats on a grill. And this thing is selling really well. 74 sales a month.
Jeez.
All right? I mean, just looking at this shirt, anyone could create that.
Right. It's not complicated design there.
It's not hard. So, I mean, 10 seconds, you could create something like that. But really, there's just so many different things that you can create in here. But one thing, breaking this down in the Merch Hunter, when you look at this data, let's go up to that beat shirt. One thing I don't see people use a lot, which I think is awesome, is this little button right here. If you click on this little details button and give it a second, it's going to bring up some trademark information. So if anything is trademarked with clothing, so you can click this. It'll bring you over to the United States Patent and Trademark Office. And you can see exactly that obsessed with is trademarked. And you can come down here and look, hey, it's in the 025 clothing category. But really what I'm looking at is this chart. Okay, so this chart is going to show you how well this shirt has been doing over time. And as you can see, this is a perfect example of playing with your price. So they started this out at $18.98. Okay, relatively high, pretty good margin in there when you sell one. What they saw is the BSR going way down. So all of a sudden it went down to like 74,000, right? This is last year. So almost a whole year ago during the holidays, it went really, really low. And they went, you know what? It's selling so well. I'm going to bump my price up to $19.98. So they're making more margin for the same shirt. And as you can see, they've kept their price there. And over the last year, it has sold incredibly well. Like right now it's at 32,000 BSR. So you know that this is an evergreen seller. This isn't like some random trend. This isn't something that was hot once and is never going to sell again. People like meat smoking t-shirts. Okay, so there is a great niche to go after. You can read their description and bullet points here. So the two we're looking for is right here. All right, so this vintage distressed My Meat smoking apparel is great for a smoker who loves to cook brisket, pork, chicken, or sausage. Blah, 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 for anyone, barbecue and smoking accessories. Okay, so you get those keywords in there, right? It's readable. I can read that out loud and you don't go like, what the hell are you talking about? You can read it, no problem. And they fit keywords in there, right? Vintage distressed, My Meat smoking apparel, great for smoker, loves to cook. And then they list a bunch of smoking meats. So you can go in here and go, okay, I know of a design I can create that looks nothing like this, that's about smoking meats. And you go down here and go, oh, it's really popular around Christmas. So I'm going to create a meat smoking t-shirt focused around Christmas. And you already have the keywords right here that are doing really, really well. So you can create your own sentences and get your own design up, today, tomorrow, something like that. So that is definitely something people should focus on.
That's cool. I did not know about this. I'm just going to be totally honest. I've never clicked on that before. So thank you.
Yeah. So, I mean, another thing that we added too, this has been around forever. You probably know about this one, but you can add these to your lists, right? So there's a favorites module here to the left. I can just click this heart and I already have some favorites up here. So live research, click submit and it's been saved.
Cool.
So
cool.
I'm like, oh, I want to look at this next week. Right, like I'm really busy today. I'm going to do some research. I'm going to revisit this next week. Come over here to favorites, click on the category. You see I have some in here, and then you can download this product list into a file with all your information, and so you can look at it whenever you want, whatever computer you want. So that is really, really helpful if you're doing research in steps and not doing the whole process in like one day sort of thing.
Right. Yeah, or if you're like, okay, well, these are the ones I'm going to create next. Just make yourself a list of 20 or 30, and then when you get ready to create, just go over to your favorites and go from there.
Right. One other thing that I want to bring up that is huge is keeping your account safe from trademarks. Okay, so trademarks are just words and phrases that represent like the source of a brand. And there is a million things that have been trademarked that you have no idea. So, for example, Nike, right? Microsoft, very recognizable trademarks, right? So, two things. We have a trademark tool in here called Trademark Alerts and Trademark Hunter. So, you can come in here and enter in random keywords. Okay, so here's Nike. It's not safe. You can add keywords in here. But the one I want to show you is this one right here, the Trademark Hunter. So what this will do, and the reason we built this is because I'd put up a shirt, okay? Maybe someone submitted a trademark a year later. It goes through like a 9-month process. So now we're like 2 years into this shirt being live on Amazon. All of a sudden, someone gets a trademark for the phrase on the shirt, and I end up getting a takedown notice. Now you get too many of those. You know, you play with fire. You're gonna get burned. You're gonna get your account taken away. No one wants to do that. So what this will allow you to do is upload your ASINs, okay? So, you know, the ASIN of your shirt, and it'll actually go through and check all of the titles, the features, the description of your shirt. So, for example, this one is in here, okay? It says, eat pasta, run fasta, okay? So, you know, and it says that it's trademarked, okay? So we can click on that, and it'll bring us over to and show you, yeah, according to the government, this is actually a trademark shirt. Okay, goods and services, right, for T-shirts. So if this person wanted to, they could go to Amazon and they could get this guy taken down.
Right.
And then this person would be in a world of hurt because they'd lose a shirt that is selling. You know, they're going to get a strike against their account. Now, another thing to go over is, let's see here. Hold on. Eat pasta, run. Let me just bring up one of these shirts.
Yeah, let's check it out. How many are there?
There is 173 of these things. So I don't know if that other guy, it's been a while since I've looked at this, but let's just say I bring one of these up like this. Okay. Now you see these big 4 buttons, which have saved me 1.5 million times. If you are inside a Merchant Former and you go up to, where did we put it? Under your name here, and you go to TM protection. It's going to open the Chrome Web Store. There's a bunch of people that use this, but I think more people should.
I did not know this existed, so thank you again.
This has saved me thousands and thousands of hours. Because what will happen, right, is you're on Merch by Amazon. You're uploading a shirt. You have all of these places to write things in. And you go, all right, I need to make sure none of this is trademarked. So you'll probably go over to TESS. So let me just bring that up real quick. This is the Trademark Electronic Search System. And if you've never seen this website, it looks like it's straight out of the 90s.
It looks bad.
But you can come in here and you can type in, you know, eat pasta, run pasta, like this. And you'll notice, all right, this one right here has got a serial number. It's got a registration number. It's live. So you can click on it and say, all right, 025 is the category for T-shirts. You'll be able to click on this button that says TSDR. And if you come down to goods and services, like it'll tell you everything about this mark. You'll see, you know, it's a trademark. It's been live since 2010 for T-shirts. You can come in here to documents and look at the specimen. So let's let this load. Like if you can see this hideous image, that's what they showed the government. The government was like, yep, that should be a trademark.
Yeah.
So, but that takes time, right? You have to figure out what in your listings do you actually search for. Like, do you search for every single combination you can? That would take you 10 hours of design. Like,
yeah, I've struggled with that before, like worrying about like a one little word that says it's trademarked. Like if it's part of your, it's not a phrase, but it's just a word, and then it pops up trademark, but it might be trademarked on like something that it's not shirts. So
right. So what this will do is this extension, I need to close some of this stuff. I have way too many things open. So this extension right here will show up in 2 places. One, it'll show up on the actual Amazon page. Okay, so I can click Merchant Former trademark check, and it'll say, hey, it'll highlight all the stuff that has trademarks in the clothing category for 025. Okay, so I see this is highlighted, so all you have to do is click on it, and it'll give you that exact page with a link to it, so you can go in here and go, oh my gosh, this is trademarked. It's trademarked for T-shirts. But you see some other stuff down here like machine. Okay, so you can click this and go, you'll see, hey, machine is trademarked, so we can come over here. That doesn't mean that you can't use this. Amazon actually used it in their bullet points as a good way to describe it.
Mm-hmm.
You'll notice it's for clothing, blah, 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 blah. But if you go to the documents here and you look at, let's look at the specimen, see if we can load this in here. That's their specimen. Does that look like a t-shirt? Like if you put, this machine worker's shirt is blah, 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 is that going to cause any confusion with this company, a denim company? Of course not. So of course you can use it. But going back to this example, what I usually like to do is I'll run this and look for phrases. So anything longer than one word. So enjoy life, right? That's got one. You can come in here and say, hey, it's a text trademark. Come over here, take a look at this. Goods and services. Right here, clothing, namely t-shirts, pants, shorts, sweatshirts, and sweaters. So you go, can you use enjoy life? Well, I don't know. Let's look what they submitted. Now, I know this is kind of like the boring side of Merch by Amazon, but it's so important so people don't get their accounts.
Yeah.
Oh, of course, the government website has a 500 server error, so.
Boring stuff matters because you don't want to lose your account over something stupid,
I know. So going back, these buttons right here, the first one's going to check 025. That's for t-shirts and clothing, okay? Pop sockets. So if this was a pop socket, it's not. It's going to show you stuff that is trademarked in 009. That's the category for pop sockets.
Okay.
About 10 minutes before we got on this live, we added tote bags and pillows, which are 018 and 020.
Yeah.
So these also show up in your Merch by Amazon dashboard on your uploading page. So it'll check your bullet points as you write them before you hit that submit button, which will say, like, you'll be able to see right there on the screen, oh, maybe you create a shirt like this. Oh, this is trademarked. Maybe I should use different words. Maybe I should ditch this design before you actually upload it and go, oh no, I uploaded it. It's under review. Like, am I going to get a rejection? Am I going to get in trouble? You'll be able to know before you submit it.
Yeah, and it's just a lot. It's so much faster than going to that trademark website for the U.S. government and clicking through all of that. Like, it's just.
Well, if you take a look at this, right? So they have a sentence here. It says, This is a novelty item. What? This is a novelty item is an object which is specifically designed to serve no practical blah, 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 right? So, like, you as a seller, if you wrote this, you'd go, all right, well, what should I search? Should I search for no practical purpose? Should I search for specifically designed to serve? Like, you don't know what to search on the government website. You're just guessing at that point. What this extension will do is it'll go through word by word, phrase by phrase, sentence by sentence, and the whole listing, and give you back the results in a few seconds. Like 1, 2, there you go.
Yeah.
So this is definitely something that I think everyone should use because this right here, this one tool has saved me probably 10,000 hours in the last 4 years.
That's insane. Yeah, like what I said before, it's Merch Informer is just helping you become more efficient. Like, it's not something it's simple things, but it's very useful things.
Yeah. So, I don't know what else. I mean, so there's a few other things that I could show you. We do have a built-in designer. So if I just load this in here.
I have not played around with that yet, and I feel like I need to because I'm using like so outdated. I use PicMonkey. I don't even know if anyone even knows what PicMonkey is. It's so embarrassing. People ask me what I use, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't even want to tell you guys. It's just the first.
But with that, I mean, there's different, what am I trying to say here? There's different design dimensions, right, for each product we have to upload. And they've added phone cases, they've added throw pillows, totes, t-shirts, and each one's got a different dimension. So if you want to make sure that things get outputted correctly, you can just come in here, and I don't even know what I was working on, but it's basically a drag and drop designer that you can come in here, put some colors in, add your text. So I can come in here and I can go, live video. And I can change this to, whatever color I want. So I don't know, white. All right, make it super big. You can come in here and drag in any images you have. So here's a Merch Informer image, right? And then, shapes, draw. If you're an artist, you can draw.
Yeah.
You can upload anything you want. We have some resources up here. So if I just dog.
Another thing is to tell them about you get 100 graphics a month, right? If you have the Pro.
Yes. Let me circle back to that right now, actually. So what I've seen a lot of people do, so if you have the Pro version of Merchant Former, every single month we will create 100 vectors. Okay, so right now there's 1,300 vectors in it. Now, all a vector is, it's an image that you can make as big as you want or as small as you want, and it's not going to pixelate on you, because that just drives me nuts. People take these tiny little like JPEGs, they blow them up to a merch size, and you can see like 5 pixels.
It looks awful.
So it does look awful. So if you're inside a Merchant Former, depending on how big your screen is, okay, so you'll see mine right up here, the Merchant Former graphics. If your screen is smaller than mine, you'll see them underneath your name over here. So we'll click on this. Every single month we release 100 of these. These are all hand-drawn stuff. We have a license, and the license pretty much allows you to do whatever you want with them, except resell them. Because what I noticed is that so many of these vector websites, people that are selling these vectors, they're really just bad for print on demand. They might allow you to sell 5 of an end unit product. Okay, that doesn't work for us. We sell thousands of one product. It just depends on.
Yeah, that licensing agreement is not very good if you can't use it for more than 5 times. That's 5 sales, and then
it's ridiculous. And then you're like, what do I do? So, anyways. We come up with 100 of these a month. There's now 1,300 of them in here. They're all different, based on user suggestions. So people come in here and they're like, "I want, hat."
Yeah.
And they'll send that off, and we'll get it, and we'll get that created. So yeah, we show 5 of these. When you hit download all, it's going to download PNG files. It's going to download the SVG files. SVG is the vector files, and it's also going to download Illustrator files. So if you are an artist, you can come in here, change things around. But let's say that you actually want to use these and you're not an artist. You can head right back over to what we were doing. Go to the Images tab, go to Upload, and you can just drag it and drop it right here.
Okay.
And then all you have to do is, click it. And so here's one of my ridiculous designs, right? My quality. But anyways, you can come here. You'll see what it looks like on a red shirt or something. And when you're ready to, like, hey, I want to make this a little bigger, you make it bigger. All right, this is perfect. You just hit download, and it'll download this file, and I can bring it over and show you guys that is what it looks like. So it's ready to upload it. Like, you don't have to do anything to it. You can put that directly on Merch by Amazon and crank out a ton of different designs. Now, one more thing.
No, you're good. You're good. We have like 34 people watching, so if you can keep going, we'll stay here as long as you've got information to give, man.
Let me find it. Where do we put that? Drawing shapes, images. Hold on one second. Okay, so let's get rid of this. Test. I'm going to make that white. Give me one moment here just so you guys can see this. Okay. So we got our little test thing here, okay? One thing I don't see many people do is, let's say you have a design and it's got like 4 text lines on it. It says, my blank is the best blank or something like that, right? And you're like, this design would do really well in these 5 niches for nurses, firefighters, paramedics, so on and so forth. How do you switch out that single line to those 5 things without sitting here and doing each one? We have this right here, this little button, which I've done the best job doing. It's called text variants, right? So we'll click that.
Gotcha.
If you upload a CSV file or a TXT file, right? So like a notepad file of the 5 names that you want to switch out. So for example, let me just open up a notepad here. Okay. So you'd come in here and you'd say nurse, paramedic, doctor, whatever you want to switch out. You'd save that file.
Okay.
Upload it right here. And then you would run that. So once you upload it, you just hit run, and it'll cycle through each design and change out what you have highlighted so that you can create a bunch of different designs.
That is saving you so much time, because I always have to like readjust a little bit on every single one, especially like if you have a longer word and then a shorter word. I have to deal with that sometimes.
This is, I mean, this is the easiest way I know of to create like mass designs. Now I know I'm only showing you one line, but if you had like actual design and you're like, I just need to switch out this line, you can go through and create like 50 variations of one T-shirt.
Yeah.
Download them all and then just start uploading straight to merch.
Someone just asked, is there any way to outline text with another color?
Yes, there is. Okay, so let me blow this up so you guys
Like, I guess you're saying put a black outline on the white text.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure, don't quote me, I'm not an artist. I'm pretty sure that's called stroke. So you'll come up here to fill options.
Gosh, I'm learning a lot today, guys.
You'll come up here to fill. Let me make this a black shirt so you guys can see this better. So you'll come up to fill options up in the right. Once you've selected the layer, you'll come up here and you'll go, all right, pick a stroke color. Okay, so it'll open this up and you can go, well, I'm gonna make it nice and pink. All right, and then we'll just add this. Hold on, because this is a, oh my, what have I done here? Hold on. It's been a while since I've.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
Played with this. I think you might need a vector. Yeah, I think you might need a vector. Hold on. I don't know if I'm looking on my desktop. Let's see. All right, let's try this again. You should be able to. I've done this like 1.5 million times. Come up here, stroke width, stroke color. Oh my God. There you go. See? All right. So I think what you have to do is you have to pick the stroke width and then the stroke color, and then it'll show up. But
okay, gotcha. Yeah.
So you'll see the terrible. I didn't change the color; it was some other color, and then I added a green stroke to it. And you can change the transparency of all this, but yeah. So I mean, if you wanted to do this and make it, a different color, so on and so forth. But yeah, it's called stroke. Oh, another thing too. I need to find a vector. If I had a vector, give me 1 second. I'll find it.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. I'm just reading through the comments. Someone said they love Merch Informer and that they've had it for a long time. You've probably had it for longer than I have, buddy. I'm just now figuring out how everything really works and seeing like, okay, this is a useful tool and here's another useful tool. So, don't feel like you have to learn everything at once. Like, just figure out how to use one thing at a time.
Now, I'm just going to download these because I don't know where I put them on my desktop, and I'll show you how you can actually edit these inside of the designer.
Okay.
So 1 second. Okay, so SVG. Let's just pick a few of these. Okay, I know you guys can't see anything. Give me 1 second here. Okay, so back to the designer. We'll go to images, and we'll drag in this bad boy. All right, so here's one. This is a suitcase. That's a backpack. That's not a suitcase. That is a backpack. So once you have a vector in here, let's just make this white so you guys can see it. All you have to do is go to images and drag them in here after you download them. So you see I downloaded them down here.
Right.
Once they're dragged in there, if you guys want to edit this kind of stuff, all you do is click on it. You'd come up here. You'd see the color of it. And right next to it, you'll see Advanced SVG Editor. Okay, so you'll be able to come in here and actually click on different pieces and change all their colors.
Oh, wow.
Now, I'm not an actual artist. This is pretty bad. But, you can change each individual color so you can customize it to whatever design you're doing. Because, gray and, I don't know, what is this? A gray and black backpack doesn't really look the best on a really vibrant design. And I'm just completely butchering this. But you can come over here and play around with this stuff and go, oh, I want this part red, and save it, and then there you go. Now this is the hideous backpack I created in 5 seconds.
Yeah, but hey, it's your hideous backpack.
You can take all those vectors, you can change them to whatever you want in order to fit the design that you're creating. So you can take these and spin it around, so on and so forth.
Gotcha. Yeah, I didn't know you could do that either. So, like, literally, I've learned so much in the last hour or so. I've got some other questions. About someone was saying about the trademarks issue about if you uploaded it 2 years ago and then the trademark gets filed, can you still get a strike on your account? Well, yeah, you can, because they don't they don't look at when you uploaded it. They don't really care. So
no, technically you should be fine, right? If you have something up and a trademark gets put in place years later, like there shouldn't be an issue. like
Mm-hmm.
legally speaking. Now, again, I'm not a lawyer, but legally speaking, you shouldn't have an issue. But Amazon is this ginormous company, right? And they don't want any liability. So if they get one letter from a lawyer, they get one letter from a brand that's like, hey, you're infringing on my trademark. Yeah, they're just going to take your stuff down so they don't get sued, right? Like, so you have to
Right.
think about it that way. They're protecting their own assets. And unfortunately, sometimes we get that strike on our account. Now, are you going to be banned over, a really long phrase that just happens to be trademarked that no one had any idea? Probably not. But if you're doing stuff like Nike or like really obvious stuff,
Mm-hmm.
you're probably not going to get multiple chances. They're probably just going to kick you off because they don't want to deal with that type of thing.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. It's just makes it a little bit easier. You don't have to worry about it if you just use the thing. Let's see if we've got any more questions, guys. Just leave it in the comments. I might have missed you before, so if you haven't had your question answered, just leave it again, and it'll pop up at the bottom.
Yeah, let me look through these too because I have not been paying attention, so my bad.
Yeah, no worries. It's hard to multitask when you're trying to have a conversation and learn and read comments all at the same time. I'm getting better at it, but it's not an easy skill to learn.
Let's see. I see one. It says, after merch, where would you spend your time next? Etsy, your own website, or other pod platforms? Mario, good question. So I would probably do it in two places. One, I'd spend the time on Redbubble and Etsy. Now, if you're going to do Etsy, there's a bunch of print providers that integrate with them, right? So you're not going to have to print your own things. Printify, Printful, Guten, those are probably the three big ones.
Mm-hmm.
But with Etsy, you're going to have to do customer service. It's a pain.
Oh, God.
the margins are way better. So if you're willing to put up with people, awesome business. Like, you already have the assets, you can sell them again. But just keep in mind, you would need to do some customer service there. One thing I didn't mention, let me share my screen real quick. You want to just throw it right back up there quick?
Yeah.
Maybe we can do a video on this later, so I'm not like yapping for a million years.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
There is so we created a tool maybe a year or so ago called the single upload interface. So I'll just show you what this looks like. Because we get this question a lot, right? Like, after merch, where should you spend your time?
Right. It's a great question. You have a lot of places that you could go.
Right, but it's endless, right? So, like, out of all of these other platforms, how on earth is one person supposed to upload their design catalog? Once you've been doing this a while, you probably have 1,000 designs. Even hundreds of designs.
Yeah.
You have to upload each individual one to each individual product on multiple platforms. There's not enough time in the day for that. So we created this bad boy called the single upload interface. Let me just drag this over here. So this is what it looks like. Real simple description of this is you create a CSV file. So that's like an Excel file, but comma separated values. You create one of these in like Google Sheets. That's probably the easiest way to get a CSV file. You upload it. So you'll see right here, I have a title of a design. I actually duplicated it. You have a description. You have some tags, right? Because Merch by Amazon doesn't use tags, but other platforms do.
Yeah, Etsy.
Yep. Put a price in here, and I put exactly where it is on my computer. Okay, so you'd upload this file. This file might have 100 designs in it, give or take. And you're like, well, wow, I want to upload this stuff to Printful. Printful integrates with Etsy. So we were just talking about Etsy, or maybe you decided to use Printify as your print partner. That integrates with Etsy. All these Printful, Printify, and Guten integrate with like Etsy. Some of them integrate with Amazon Seller Central, eBay. Some of them integrate with Shopify. And then you have your marketplaces like Teespring, Redbubble, Spreadshirt, and Zazzle. Okay, and these offer way more products, like hundreds. Zazzle offers thousands of different products. And not everyone shops on Amazon. So let's say that you wanted to do like, hey, I want to upload this design to Redbubble, right? So you come in here, and all you're doing is you're taking the CSV file that's got all the information on it, and you're saying, all right, I'm going to map these options. So, hey, what picture do we want to upload? Well, I have an image path in my CSV file. What background color do we want to upload? Well, keep it as black. What markup percentage? I want 50% markup. So English, I'm going to put a title. You're just matching, right?
Right.
You can come down here. You can copy settings. So this is actually an image that I have on Redbubble. So I'm like, all right, I already picked the colors. I already picked the sizes. I already picked the products. I'm just going to copy all of those over to this new design. So I put a URL in there. I come down here and I go, okay, look at all these products. I don't even know how many this is. Probably 30.
Wow.
As you can see, I have them all checked. And I'm going to do default image, So all you have to do is you come over here to Uploader. I'm going to deselect one of these because one of them is the exact same. So you'll be able to see, all right, I'm going to upload this design. So if I click this, you guys will be able to see it. This is what it looks like. Okay, so pretty simplistic.
These are cracking me up. I'm so sorry.
So we'll be able to upload that at 50% margin. I didn't put a background color in here because I'm copying it from this one. All right.
Okay.
Tags, description, blah, 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 blah. And then we'll hit start uploading here. And it'll start.
So yeah, for people who don't know about the Printful thing real quick, Printful just makes if you have a design and you want it to get it to a place like Etsy and you don't have your own t-shirt machine, Printful will basically integrate into Etsy and sell your that you sell it to the customer, you decide the price that you want and the margin that you'll have on it, and then they ship it to the customer. So it's like it's basically doing what Merch by Amazon does, but with maybe an extra step. But that's kind of what that is. And that's why he's saying, like, if you're not familiar with Printful and Etsy, you can get so much more money per sale on Etsy. Like, you can sell t-shirts for $25 there all day long, and people don't really think about it as much as an Amazon customer. Etsy customers are really just buying like gifts, and they want things that are special. So, when I was doing Etsy Printful integration, I think I was making like $8 to $10 per sale. So even if you are just doing, 20 or 30 sales a month over there, that's still a really good way to just add a little bit of income to your print on demand platform. So that's like this tool here is showing you all these different ways that you can use your assets that you already have. You've already created them. So it doesn't cost you anything, any time or anything to upload them to all these platforms.
Yeah, and just like while you were talking there, it went through the process and I haven't touched a single thing. And that design is now uploaded to Redbubble on, all of these products, and it's for sale. So you don't have to sit there and just go through each individual design here, and you're like, okay, I've uploaded 10 designs on Redbubble. Okay, now time to go over to Teespring, right? And look at all these products. Like they don't offer these on Amazon. So go through each individual one up. Like you could just make one spreadsheet because you've already got these designs you've put on Amazon, and you're like, okay, I'm leaving a lot of money on the table because, yes, even though Redbubble is maybe a tenth of the size of Merch by Amazon, people still shop at Redbubble. People still shop at Teespring.
Right.
So you're trying to get your designs everywhere. That also helps with the copycat issue too, right? Like I've seen people go, oh my gosh, my merch designs are on Redbubble. Well, get your merch designs everywhere first, and then, you won't have that issue because you're already there.
Yeah, the Redbubble is really. I know a lot of people sell stickers and things from there, so I think that's
huge.
Yeah, that's insane though that Amazon hasn't had added stickers yet. I'm gonna be so pumped when they finally do.
Yeah, well, I've seen people on Redbubble do like 200% markup on stickers, and they sell.
Yeah, it's people pay like $10 for a sticker. It's insane.
For like a 10-cent piece of
there's no
plastic. What am I trying to say? Paper, I guess.
Yeah, there's nothing to it. But yeah, if you have, take your 100 best sellers and put them all on stickers, that's 100 other chances to make a sale.
And this stuff. So what I like to think of it as is kind of like another stream of income that you can put into your merch business. So let's say you're making, you said 5,000 to 7,000, right? So if you had all those designs on all these other platforms, you're probably going to be bringing in, maybe an equivalent, maybe a few thousand. Let's just say, for example purposes, you're only bringing in $300 a month from other platforms that you're not really paying attention to. That $300 a month is enough to hire someone, like a VA, for example, to create designs for you, to run your merch business, to do your research for you. So, I mean, those other platforms using the same designs can help build your business at a way faster rate than you could do it by yourself.
Yeah, that's a great tip. Do you have any, how do you feel about like purchasing fonts and graphics and things like that? Do you find yourself doing that a lot?
Not me personally, because I can barely draw, as we just saw. So most of my designs come from designers, right? So I pay them either a set price per design, or I will give them, a salary or, hourly, depending on who I found. But if you are doing, vector art, so on and so forth, and you're not a designer and you need a specific font, definitely go purchase those. You don't want to get in trouble. The fonts we put in the designer, they're all Google fonts. So Google fonts are free for commercial use. So just if you're looking for a font and you don't want to buy one, Google fonts is probably going to be your best friend.
I didn't know that. That's cool. I buy a lot of fonts on Etsy. So they're handwritten fonts. And I mean, they're like $5. So I always like buying them because I feel like, well, this is one way I can set myself apart from other people, especially if that's, if it's a totally text-based design, then if you have different text, obviously that's going to be a advantage.
You only need to make 2 sales to offset that purchase.
Yeah.
So it's not a big deal.
Yeah, one thing that so my accountant saw my Amazon FBA business and my merch business, and she's like, "This one has almost no expenses." I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Why does one of your businesses have 50% expenses, and then the other one's got 10?" And I'm like, "Well, because I don't really. I mean, it just makes me a lot more money and for a lot less cost. Like the only thing that I have to purchase is I use a couple different programs and I use my editor and I purchase graphics and fonts and things. But for the most part, it's a very low barrier to entry to get into.
It is. I mean, and that's the thing too, because it's such a low barrier to entry, right? Like anyone can start selling print on demand tomorrow. You have to focus on how you can set yourself apart. Like you were saying, fonts are a great way. Custom illustrations. So what we're just showing for the graphics, or maybe you've hired your own graphic artist. I mean, all those things are going to make your design different, and that is going to appeal to the customer.
Mm-hmm. Do you have anything that what do you think constitutes a good design? I've always been asked this question, Bella, is this a good design? I always tell people don't have it be super messy, have it easy to read if they're scrolling on their phone. Are there anything that you can think of that sticks out?
Yeah, so I always poke fun at people and say a good design is one that other people buy. But so when it comes to Amazon, and you're like you said, there's so many visitors on their phones they're going through. When it comes to merch by Amazon, you want a few things. One, really simple. So that means you're not using 5 different fonts, right? Maybe you're using 1 to 2 ones that work together. And 2, you have to make the image ginormous. It should take up most of the space, because you have, people are scrolling, right? Like this. You have that split second to catch their attention. If your design is too small, they're going to scroll right past yours and you just lost that sale. So it's got to be really big, pretty simple, nothing too intricate. So, we talked about artists. They like to make some pretty cool things, but when it comes to Amazon search results, people need to be able to see what it is, who it's for, and catch their attention real quick. Otherwise, you've lost.
Yeah. It. What is the is it acronym KISS? Keep it simple, stupid.
Yep. And really, I've seen a lot of people make some really awesome designs, but they're just too small. Because the mock-up that Amazon shows you is tiny to begin with, especially if you're on a mobile device. So you want to use as much space as possible. Big, bold text does really, really well.
Right. And putting the right color text. Don't put text that is not going to hardly show up. Don't put black on a navy shirt.
Yeah, or green on a green shirt. You see some of those hideous, just horrible designs, and you're like, that's part of the process of optimizing your shirt. When you're going through and you're picking the colors, don't pick the colors that look good. You don't have to pick 10 colors. You can only pick 2. If those 2 colors are the only ones that look good, then that's all you should pick. So sometimes giving the customer more choice actually is bad, because people can't make up their mind. And then
very bad. You don't want them to be sitting at your listing and I can't decide, and then they don't buy it at all.
Yep. You just want just a few colors. Amazon used to recommend, I think, 3 colors, and you had a total of up to 5.
Yeah, they changed it to where you can add a lot more, because it was only you could only do a few.
But think about why they said that, right? They said that because that's what leads to more sales, is not giving the customer as much choice as possible.
Right. Yeah, Papa Amazon knows best. So we've got another question. Where can I get all these files? So someone, I think they're referring to the like 1,300 files you said earlier. We're talking about Merch Informer. So Merch Informer, again, if you just came in and you're not, you haven't watched the rest of the video, it's a software tool. So you can get the files by, I guess, by subscribing to it. So, and there is a link in the description so you can find all the information. I also put a link to your channel because you have a lot of videos explaining this stuff. So, if there's something that we didn't touch on, and you're watching this and thinking, why didn't he talk about this? He's probably already talked about it.
Here, let me share my screen real quick. I'll show you one other thing, just real quick. So I want to put it up there. So if you're inside a Merch Informer, again, there's a 3-day free trial, right? So to make sure it's like a good fit for your business. So log in. You'll either see the graphics up top here or in the drop-down menu. Now, if you're brand new to merch and you're like, hey, I need some direction, which pretty much everyone did when they first started, we actually put some video courses up here. So if you go to Merch Academy, again, this will be at the top or this will be over here. These are pretty long videos. These are like an hour long. We put a bunch of them in here. So they're basically like multiple, full courses.
Yeah, I need to go watch all of these.
So these are really long, and I know some of them are boring, but they walk through exactly what you guys need to know, kind of the process, how things work. So something to keep in mind, a bunch of video courses in here. So if you guys get a free trial, go start watching these because it'll explain if I didn't explain anything right or you're confused, this will explain everything.
Right. Yeah. And if you guys haven't noticed, Neil is really smart. So it's a lot easier to follow through on one concept because we are covering a lot of concepts in this video. I had someone ask, where do you find your designers? I tried Upwork and Fiverr and they were so bad.
Yeah. So I get all mine on Upwork. But if you go to merchinformer.com/blog, just search for Upwork on there. There's a really long article I put there about how to find good designers. There's actually a script that I use that like thousands of people have used now, but you just copy the script, change it up a little bit so you're not like the 10,000th person to use it. But when you post a job, you're going to get probably 30 or 40 applicants right off the bat using that script. You want to go through and you want to look at their style. So inside a Merch Informer, figure out what is selling really well. Look at that style and then compare it against the portfolios of people on Upwork. And then every single person who either doesn't have the style, that's doing well on merch, or one of the things I always do is I ask them a random question like, who was the 31st president of the USA, right? That shows me that they can use Google. If they don't answer that or they don't have the style, I just go through and I decline every single person. Like no emotion, just boom, 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 boom.
Yeah. Boom. Well, another thing is it shows they don't follow instructions, right?
Yeah, exactly. So super important. So once you just get through that list, you might have one or two left. You might not, right? So like wait a few days. If you have no one good, post it again. And eventually you're going to find people who can follow instructions, who you can actually communicate with, and who have the perfect style and is not too expensive.
Gotcha.
Kind of following that,
do you pay per design or do you just pay them like a set rate?
Yeah, so I mostly pay per design. So I only have a few designers with me right now, but they've been working with me for like 4 or 5 years now. It's been a while. One of them I knew before I started merch. But it's mostly on a per design basis, so anywhere from like $4 to $10, depending. But again, if you're getting someone to create, custom illustrations for you,
that's different. Yeah,
you're gonna be paying more. So I mean, if someone's sitting there with a tablet drawing things out, which I can't do, it's going to be more.
Gotcha. I've played around with it. I've used a few, but from what I could tell, it was taking me longer to communicate with them than it was to actually make the design myself. But you have to train people and you have to find people that are really good at what they're doing. Otherwise, there's a lot of pain points when hiring somebody in a normal business setting. Like they're not going to be great at the beginning. They're going to get better and better.
But once you do find that one person, maybe you only get one designer and they're just a rock star designer. They're going to stick with you because you're going to provide them constant work every single week, every single month. Like I've had one designer working for me for 5 years, right? Like And yeah, every single month I might pay him, I don't know, $300 to $500. Okay. Now that sounds like poverty wages in the US, but you start thinking, hey, we live in a global economy. That's, 3 times the monthly salary in this particular
Right.
area of the world.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it makes sense of why the relationship works so well.
Yeah,
So,
you're creating a job and potentially like changing someone's life. Like it's crazy.
so it just really depends. I think going through the pain though, it is painful, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Can definitely be worth it though once you find the right person.
Yeah, for sure. I have played around with it. I need to look into it again because that is one thing. Like if you don't want to spend your time on designing,
You gotta spend your money.
There's a simple fix, but it's called money.
Very true.
I've thrown money at a lot of my problems though, and they seem to go away. Like
well, see, that's another thing too, though, just to touch on real quick, is that it's a lot easier to get your problems to go away with money once you've experienced them because you know the fix for it, right? So, I mean, that's why I recommend everyone not just throw money at a merch business right away. Learn the process, make the mistakes, learn what you're doing, and then that money can be put to much, much better use.
Right, yeah. And it's the same reason why you don't get 5 or 6 different subscriptions to merch things in the beginning when you're on tier 10. It just doesn't make financial sense. But when you are like me, like I have 8,000 slots and I've got like 6,500 filled, and I'm sure I'm going to tier up soon. And I'm just like, how am I going to keep doing this? Like, I've got to figure out how to become more efficient. Like, because I don't want to spend all day at my computer. I don't want to be sitting there guessing what sells. And there's nothing worse than spending all day at your computer only to make 500 designs that don't sell. Like, what, it's kind of pointless.
Yep, exactly. So it's kind of about putting all the pieces together, where it makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Well, do you want to tell them, I guess, a little bit about the different types of plans for Merch Informer? You have 2 different ones, is that right?
Yeah, so there's the newbie plan and the pro plan. They're all full featured plans pretty much. The only difference is that the pro plan has all of the graphics that we went over, as well as the software to upload to, all these other platforms and marketplaces. So if you're not uploading other marketplaces and you are an artist, no need for the pro plan, but the pro plan just gives you all, like, there's 1,300 graphics in there and the software to upload pretty much all over the internet.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's definitely a full service tool. From using it, I'm seeing like there's so much you can do with it. You could spend some time learning which ones are most useful to you and just use those tools, and I guarantee your merch income will increase, like just from having that data that you didn't have before. Like, it's so important. But so yeah, I mean I guess we can wrap up, but I feel like we need to do this again sometime.
Good questions. So I definitely appreciate you having me. That was awesome.
Yeah, for sure. And I really did learn a lot, so thank you. I know you spend a lot of time explaining things, but I'm assuming if I didn't know, then hopefully some of my viewers didn't know as well.
Yeah. So, all right.
Alrighty, guys, well, we'll wrap up here, but thanks so much for watching. Again, there are links to everything in the description below. You can find a link to Merch Informer, and you can get 20% off if you use my code, so there's that. And we've got also a link to the Merch Informer YouTube channel with all of those tutorials that you put out. There's definitely like over 50 videos on your channel, so if anyone is just curious about how it works, you can always go over there and check it out. But anyways, I'm going to end this here, guys. Thanks so much for watching, and thank you, Neil, for coming on.
Appreciate it. Have a good one, guys.